Obama veto the National Defense Authorization Act. The legislation includes provisions which destroy the constitutional rights of habeas corpus and due process. American citizens and all people everywhere have the inalienable right to contest their imprisonment and to a civilian trial by jury. We reject this and all legislation which abridges these rights, as well as the false belief that doing so will make the nation more secure. The bill also contains sanctions against the oil industry and monetary system of Iran, which are clear precursors to a military attack. Additionally, the bill funds wars that the majority of Americans oppose. These endless, senseless wars only serve the corporatist interests of the 1%, and we oppose this and all legislation which enables and perpetuates them.
Well put.
Well put. That's a round of applause.
Yeah, this is cool. This is like our new amendment right here. So this is like the first demand.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
No. We passed a demand. Actually, we passed a demand to end corporate personhood.
Collapse.
Last week, and then there was end corporatism as an objective as well. But as far as a specific action demand on something that's topical, that's happening right now, yeah, I'd say this is the first one that I know of. You know. So,
I'm on the PR team. Yeah.
oh, okay.
I wanted to talk to you last night. I wanted to tell you that it's at 7.
You know, I think that this National Defense Authorization Act is completely unconscionable and outrageous and a violation of every right that we have. But I don't think that Obama's move to veto it represents any concern about our rights. I mean, the reason why he wants to veto it is because he says it treads on his authority as president, because Congress is directly telling the military what to do, and he's the commander-in-chief of the military. So that's neither here nor there to me. I don't think Obama or Congress should tell the military to arrest people in the United States without charge, without trial, without warrants, and indefinite detention. You know, as far as the larger issue, I think that the United States has done that already. I mean, we're doing it to people. They held a Puerto Rican guy that they picked up and claimed he was working for Al-Qaeda, and they held him for 2.5 years or 3 years in Guantanamo without seeing a lawyer or anything else. So that was, you know, the previous president, but the same thing holds. Obama promised to close Guantanamo, hasn't done it.
Right.
So, you know, that is the law of the land that we operate in, and I think it is martial law, police state, and it has been for a long time. Under COINTELPRO, they carried out war here against the American Indian movement. They had the army marching in D.C. and Detroit against, you know, urban uprisings in the 60s.
And then, you know, for the people who's not still aware of this National Defense Authorization Act, you know, could you summarize that one piece that is really
the whole act is outrageous. I mean, it's $600 billion for the military to run all these bases all around the world and inside the United States. You know, I would veto the whole thing, not just that one provision.
Right, but the most outrageous provision is that they're going to...
that has triggered this thing, but for example, there was an amendment to it to declare the war in Iraq over.
Right.
And Congress refused to adopt that. The Senate voted it down. They will not end that. You know, even though they've already said the war is over, quote unquote, they don't want to say the war. You know, they don't want to put it on paper that they've ended the war because they want to have that power to go back in if they have to.
And then, you know, the U.S. citizens could be detained.
That's right.
You know, without a trial, indefinitely in a military prison. And Obama's threatening to veto because he doesn't have the power to choose between civilian or military court.
And then, as far as you asked me why the media hasn't covered it, I think the media is, you know, they're owned lock, stock, and barrel. They're all media monopolies. It's you know, GE and Comstar, and you know, it's like 7 or 8 companies. They put different names on all the magazines, different names on all the TV stations, but it's the same few corporations that own all that, and they're all propaganda machines.
That the Tea Party has called for people to go against this bill.
Right.
So that's a good sign.
Right.
That mean,
from the Tea Party, she might be able to speak to that.
So that's a good sign that this issue can potentially
unite both Occupy and Tea Party. Right.
Yeah. The Tea Party.
Right.
We all love liberty.
Well, the Tea Party started just like Occupy LA, where they're almost saying the same things against the banks and against the losing our rights, and then they were co-opted by corporations and made into a media, circus.
The very first Tea Party in the 21st century was in Boston by the 9/11 Truth Movement that threw the Military Commissions Act, the Patriot Act, all these things into the Boston Harbor, and then from there it went into the Liberty Movement and Ron Paul, and then from there it was taken up by the Koch brothers and turned into
something else. Right.
Yeah.
Was that seriously the transition?
Yeah, that's what happened. We had a.
Can we specifically, for the record, say that the name of the bill and the clause that's of biggest concern?
Well, it's the National Defense Authorization Act for
National Defense Authorization Act
for fiscal year 2012. That's the military budget, and then it's in Section D, the detainee matters, which it's sections 1031 through 1037. I forget the title of each of these sections, but essentially it's putting America into military law, underneath law of war, and detaining American individuals.
And then
it doesn't require that the military detain Americans like it does for non-American citizens, but it opens it up for them to be called by executive order, and so that's why many of us believe that even if Obama vetoes it, he's basically going to be vetoing it, saying, I already have that power, I'm not going to give my powers to already assassinate American citizens over to the legislative body. And in a certain way, it's just an extension of everything that's been happening in this country, I would say, since like the National Security Act, in terms of legalized assassination.
Which was 60 years ago? 70 years ago?
Yeah, 1947. And so basically it's an extension of the Patriot Act, it's an extension of the Military Commissions Act, and what's interesting is it specifically mentions September 11th and Al-Qaeda, and we know there's multiple instances of the CIA being caught funding Al-Qaeda from all the very beginnings of the Mujahideen and Bin Laden all the way up to Libya, to the NATO Libya operation, where one of their men on the ground was Al-Qaeda. So in this case, that means that the entire CIA should be locked up by the U.S. military at this point.
And can we talk about the fact that the mainstream media is not covering this and the reasons why? Anybody have theories why?
I can give you an incident where the night of the raid there was a media poll where it was only ABC, NBC, and the Associated Press which were allowed on the ground to actually film. Now right before the raid, everyone else came out. Channel 5 had a really good quote which they didn't air. I'd like to say that. The guy who was reporting it was saying that, no, we have some non-violent protesters, but there are violent protesters out there which are actually going to throw bags of... No. It was bags of vinegar. No, it was going to be bags of vinegar at the police officer. So I grabbed him on the shoulder and I said, no, the vinegar is for the gas that they may throw at us. He cut filming and then just walked away to film some trash and like start talking some more crap anyways. But yeah, it's already aware that if anyone saw the Associated Press the next morning, they covered Viragosa saying that we safely got everyone out. They covered the chief saying that we did everything by the books, and then they cut the story there, and there was no other talk about the occupation. What we can assume, especially from rogue people who have been fired countlessly, across, like Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Al Jazeera, everyone's been fired for trying to cover the story. Anyways. But I can't specifically say the intentions of the media blanketing because that would be conspiracy. But I would actually say it's not unusual that a lot of the media is not covering this story.
Yeah, what gets me is, people are just apathetic. I mean, I tell all my friends, and, they say, oh, this is crazy, but it stopped right there. They won't come down here.
There would be 1,000 people out.
They don't come down here. They say, oh, it's crazy, and then stop. I'm outraged, but that's it. They won't go beyond that. It's like they want to go back to their home. They want to go back to their cave and watch TV. That's why they could do this.
That's why we come down here, man, because we can deal with that.
That's what the problem is, they got to look in the mirror, and the problem is themselves, because they're letting this happen.
They're letting it happen. It's not those senators, it's them. They're letting it happen. Because if they were all out here, they would just stop.